You're listening to Rookie Pirate Radio, the official anime and manga podcast for InBetweenDrafts.com. I'm John Negroni.
And I'm Travis Hymas.
And today we're doing a manga recap of One Piece, chapter 1127, titled Adventure in the Land of Mystery. And Travis, I feel like doing a One Piece podcast with you is also an adventure with plenty of mystery.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised. I thought we were doing Jujutsu Kaisen today.
Well, you know what? Speaking of, the other mystery is when we're going to release these episodes, if on time. As usual, we're going to be discussing spoilers for the One Piece manga up until this point, of course. So, if you've not yet read chapter 1127, you better get out of here fast. But you can read it whenever you want for free on the Viz website or the Shonen Jump app, linked in the show notes as always. And when I say whenever you want, I mean, well, if you're subscribed to Shonen Jump. But if you're not, you do have 3 weeks since the official release. Now it's about 2 weeks because we are recording this a week late. The reason we're recording it a week late is because John got under the weather.
It's a break. It's a break week. It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Nothing. It's not like we have any new information. It's okay.
Oda deserves break weeks, but not us. And since you mentioned that, it's not like it was a chapter that was like, you know, the most consequential, can't believe this just happened chapter ever. But we're still going to have some fun talking about this one, I think.
We'll see when I put on my tinfoil hat in a little bit.
That's right. Okay, I guess we'll just get right into it. I do have some bad news to report, unfortunately. I was on the Discord earlier today, since I'm on it all the time, obviously, and I was having the best time of my life, obviously, keeping up with all the latest channels on the In Between Drafts Discord, linked in the show notes, and the anime channel, the One Piece spoilers chat, of course, and film, TV, games. It's pretty amazing. But the problem is that the Discord has gotten so world famous and so valuable for so many people that it now costs money to use the Discord. We now have to charge people because there's so much demand. And I'm just upset because I loved using the Discord, but I don't have the budget. I can't pay. And I would, if I had the money, money wouldn't be an object, obviously, but well, reality.
I guess I'm kind of glad that we don't have like some sort of like haves and have-not situation where like one of the founders of the site also has to pay to use the Discord. But I do have to ask, when did we start doing this exactly?
Hold on, I'm getting a note from our producer, Rookie D Pirate. I don't know why you do this to me while we're recording, Rookie D Pirate, but, you know, I'll, of course, read it out loud as usual. Let's see. Oh, John, you are once again confusing things with other things. The Discord does not cost any money. Wait, what? You are confusing it with your Movie Pass subscription. Oh, no, Travis. I'm sorry. I do it all the time.
I mean, how do you still have a Movie Pass subscription? Like, that's the real question of this conversation.
That's the real land of mystery, isn't it?
Now I want to have a whole podcast episode about that, because how? Like, do they still charge you?
I guess they must have to.
Well, the important thing is that the Discord is still free to use.
It is. And if you want to get in touch with me, Movie Pass, you can email us, rookiepirateradio@gmail.com. I'll say it 2 more times, rookiepirateradio@gmail.com. Travis, can you do the third so I can take a sip?
rookiepirateradio@gmail.com.
Don't forget to tell your parents. And with that, let's get into chapter 1127, or as the kids say it on Skibbity Street, chapter 1127. So I gotta do it the hip way, obviously, at least once or twice. Travis, we're just going to breeze right past that.
Travis, very Sigma of you.
The cover page of this one is the cover story, we should say. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 15. Can't believe it. We've had 15 of these so far already. Quote, the kidnappings weigh heavily on Dogstorm, daimyo of Curry. Revelation here, the Dogstorm is now a daimyo. Cool. Love it for him. Love that for him. And the subplot of the kidnappings continues. The same theories persist. I think it's some of the Tobi Roppo. You had a wilder theory. I forget what it was. I think your theory that it was Big Mom.
I mean, just we don't know where everybody is, so it could be a number of things. There is something that I picked up from someone else commentating on these stories that I didn't really click for me. I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but I do want to call it out here. All of these stories involve food, which would normally be not that big of a deal, but given
it's One Piece, so yeah.
Well, not just that it's One Piece, but it's Wano, right? The entire point of Luffy doing everything he did in Wano was so that everybody could eat wherever and however they wanted.
And all these places in Wano are named after food.
Yeah.
Udon, Ringo, curry.
It's the core of the arc, right? And that's what we're seeing everybody doing. They're eating as much as they want. Yamato constantly eating, but also the actual residents of every place we've stopped. Like, even with all of these concerns and everything, the food is in fact flowing. Momonosuke is doing his job. So that's actually pretty heartwarming to see. I don't know that we always get to see like a positive, like the outcome right away from something like this. So that's nice.
It is heartwarming too, in the sense that, I mean, this is how you know One Piece is a fantasy. It's like somebody gets political power and then things actually improve.
I know, right? It's kind of, that might be the most controversial take Oda has about politics, is that that's a thing that can happen.
Well, let's get into something less controversial, and that's a summary of the chapter. I'll do this one real quick, borrowing quite a bit from the wiki for this one. But yeah, here we go. Okay, so we start off, believe it or not, in Elbaf. I know we talked about this. You and I were both adamant that we were in Elbaf. So, Travis, here's your W. I have mine over here as well, framed on the wall. Congratulations to you and yours.
Love it when it's easy.
We are in Elbaf. I can't believe people were second guessing it at that point. I felt like it was just fun people, fun times. But that's okay. But we open in Elbaf, and we know it's Elbaf because we see Yggdrasil, the World Tree. The World Tree, which we first learned about in the story back in chapter 800 something. That was the chapter where it was Punk Hazard, I want to say, right? Or no, not Punk Hazard. It's because I'm thinking of Caesar Clown in that chapter. It was Whole Cake Island. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, it was Whole Cake Island. And that was the first time we ever learned of the tree. But anyway, so the giants are trying to put out a fire that started from probably some Straw Hat shenanigans, if we're being honest. But we don't know exactly where it came from. And they're trying to put it out before it gets to the World Tree itself. So we're actually really close to it. And there are also a bunch of really huge bees that have been falling from the tree, I guess, in maybe because they got injured by something. The giants don't understand what's going on. We're literally cutting like to in media res. It's kind of like with when the Labo Phase Death game, we just kind of skipped over a whole like introductory part of the arc, and we're just in the thick of it at this point. So then the giants mention that even the ear god has fallen, something called the ear god, which is kind of fascinating because what's an ear god? Is it like the sun god? I guess we'll find out. And it's definitely a shock because they mention that it's some kind of Titanic rabbit. And so, get ready. Bugs Bunny. That must be what the ear god is. Who knows? I mean, it has big
Chungus.
Ears.
Yeah, Big Chungus is what they call that one.
We cut to the location that we ended the last chapter on, but now it has a name. It's called Big Steen Castle. And we see Nami again. If you recall, the last chapter ended with Nami being surrounded by all these Legos and stuff, being like, where is everybody? And yeah, so Nami reunites with Zeus. They take down one of these giant bees. She's desperately crying out for somebody to try to help her. She'll even settle for Usopp. But she does actually end up hearing Usopp and tries to get to him, but then she confronts this huge hedgehog. The hedgehog is cute, very cute, but it also kind of just startles her. And the hedgehog also is startled, begins to chase her very angrily. Nami does eventually find Usopp, but he's also being attacked by a big animal. It's a lot of classic One Piece, like pre-time skip goof stuff. Like it's literally like reading Skypiea or Alabasta, like anything in the Grand Line, honestly, minus Chopper, I guess, at this point. But yeah, so Usopp is being attacked, and his animal attacker is this huge cat. The hedgehog finally gets to Nami. She zaps it with Zeus, but then she also falls while this happens. She does land on the cat, though, And then the hedgehog falls onto the cat, and then everything is just getting zapped and zapped and zapped. So love that Nami's power up continues to get some play. It's kind of fun. Reminds me when Luffy was getting to do like future sight stuff at the beginning of Wano, because we were like, oh yeah, there were consequences from that arc from Whole Cake Island. But all the zapping, while powerful, it doesn't really damage the cat, just makes it angry. It starts chasing both Nami and Usopp as they try to figure out what's going on. Usopp tells Nami that he also woke up in the castle wearing some outfit, but has no idea what's going on. All they remember is that they were drinking that alcohol, the special alcohol that the giants told them was powerful enough to cause hallucinations. So they're trying to figure out basically what you and I were saying is probably what happened, right? That they had a bender and then they woke up here. And their hangover is our goofy gag manga pleasure. But anyway, so the two of them reach a dead end, but Usopp then thinks that like, oh, maybe this is a hallucination too. This is all a dream. But then the cat just hits him and it caused quite a ruckus online. People being like, why does Usopp so weak? It's like, because you're a crybaby and Oda is punishing you on purpose. Yeah, but anyway, the cat does manage to push both of them over the edge, and then they land, and the cat transforms into a lion. It reminds me, honestly, of Digimon. It's like a Digivolution, basically, of like the cat turning into the lion. And Gatomon, Digivolve too, yeah. So then Nami uses Usopp as a shield, which is pretty rude considering he literally just got attacked too. But the day is, of course, saved by the monster trio themselves. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji show up and they do a 3-pronged attack. They take out the lion, not one hit, but like one combined hit, if you will. And then it de-digivolves into a cat, passes out. Luffy says that he will not eat the cat because the rabbit they ate was filling enough, which of course should be raising both of our ears. Like, was that the air god? That would be a big rabbit to eat. That'd be the sun god eating the rabbit god, I guess. Sanji tries to comfort Nami, who says that Usopp's dead now. Again, pre-time skip, good times. Luffy says that the other animals in the castle are tasty. They should try hunting them. But Zoro points out that trying to find the ship and the rest of the crew needs to be their number one priority. Sanji says that they should try to figure out what's going on with those giant bees that they encountered. But Nami is just sort of like, why are you so chill about this? I guess she's also probably trying to figure out like how they were able to sober up so quickly, because they've apparently been up and about for quite a minute now. And yes, we end the chapter with the East Blue crew. That's what I'm going to call them from now on. The East Blue crew being like, where are we? What is going on? When are we going to? We gotta find our folks, the crew, the good time, the rest of the Straw Hat crew. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but there you go, Travis H. What do you think of this chapter? Do you like Zoro's new goggles? I like him.
It's almost like he cut off a part of like a Viking helmet, the ones with like the eye guard. So like they're goggles, but it's almost like he intentionally made them bad for some reason, which is kind of funny to me. I know they're going to be kind of controversial, but I think it does help differentiate his design from the other two, which is kind of handy because like Viking design kind of invokes a pretty specific thought process. So anything you can do to like change up those character models is going to be welcome. So I'm okay with it. I'm sure once it's colored, it'll look a lot better.
Isn't it kind of crazy that they just happen to have these clothes? I mean, where do they get them? Did they find a bunch of giants who had human size?
We are so flashing back. Something happened. Something had to have happened, right? Because like it would be one thing if somebody grabbed Nami and changed her clothes and did like an old school One Piece gross, lewd thing. But that does not seem to be what happened here, because they're all dressed up and, you look at Usopp, for example, with like the beard and everything. And it's very clear that like Usopp chose these clothes because that's what he would have chosen anyway, right?
Right. It does look like, it's not Kinemon, doing their thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I love the idea that, well, first of all, that we have these kind of like animals and stuff and like it's showing that Elbaf is more than just the giants. And I'm sure, we all expected that there would be some cool twists and turns to like what the crew's going to encounter and everything. But yeah, just the fact that like it still feels like we are in some kind of playhouse, just because like these could literally just be somebody's pets. Only thing is at the very beginning of the chapter, and there has been a little bit of disagreement around this. It does look like the buildings are made of Lego. And so it looks like not everything's a toy house. So some people have been wondering, well, does that mean that the Vikings we see at the beginning of the chapter, what if they're not actually giants? What if these are people in Elbaf and there's like a human village or something like that? And it's something where, that we haven't really seen any giants at. Because of the nature of what we've seen, we don't have anything to show the scale of things. But that could also be cope for people who are so convinced that it was a toy house, thing.
Yeah, I had this conversation with one of my friends because there's a couple of like regular readers that I have like a group chat with, and we bounce ideas off of each other like immediately. I think it's the panel where they find the sting mores, because you have like the big bees in the foreground and then the giants in the background. But if you look at them, the proportions are off. And I wouldn't call this cope. I would call this kind of that good old classic. You mentioned we're doing a lot of classic One Piece stuff. We're doing the classic Oda planned out a panel and then realized he couldn't fit the things he wanted to in the panel. So all of a sudden, everything is smaller / bigger as necessary. I think this is a foreground background situation, and that these giants are not directly behind these bees. I think that there's some distance here that we can't tell from this panel. What is perspective in One Piece anyway, right? But to your point, Yggdrasil looks a lot smaller than we have seen it referenced as before, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And there are even some folks who are still trying to say, like, no, this really isn't Elbaf. It's just, some kind of mockery of it, and we're not even really there yet. To which I say, that doesn't really fit the mood of what Oda seems to be going for in the final saga. Like, just take the fact that we're cutting so far ahead. Like, it just seems like he looked at his notes and was like, I could just shortcut us there. I could, get rid of all the sort of like, it would take me like 3 chapters to really get our foot in the door of this place. I can knock it out in like 2 chapters, and we're already into the big inciting incident stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that that we've got the adventure in title, I think that locks it. This is definitely Elbaf. We're definitely doing the arc.
Exactly.
Title means something. And I know some people are like, well, it doesn't say Land of Giants. It's Journey into Mystery. it's a Thor reference. Like, that was the original comic that the Marvel Comics Thor and Loki were introduced in, was Journey into Mystery. They still use it from time to time when they want to do like a Loki book or something. So, of course, Oda would know that. He knows everything. So it's kind of that larger idea that this isn't just the Land of Giants, but there's a lot of other things here for us. There's a lot of mysticism. This is where the Nika lore apparently originates from, for example. So we are, in fact, going on a journey into mystery. It makes a lot of sense. We're starting with a lot of questions. Everything's weird. It's a perfect title. So we're in Elbaf. That just has to be where we are.
Here's my mark my words moment. Okay. And I might have brought this up before, but this shouldn't be surprising information. Considering how built up Elbaf has been since the end of East Blue, right? And when we meet Dorian Brogy. The fact that the whole Viking thing, this plays to Oda's beginnings, right? His first real manga, Vicky the Viking, it's always been something that truly fascinates him, right? In a similar way that like Wano was his love letter to Japan, I think Elbaf is going to be a love letter to his passion for storytelling, which means we can easily extrapolate based on how long he has probably had all of this in his head. Big One Piece stuff is going to be in this arc. I think this is going to be one of those arcs where you got to pay so much attention to every little thing, because I feel like we're going to get so many clues as to like what the heck the actual One Piece really is and what it means and all this stuff. Like all this ear god stuff, I'm just like, we're getting a pantheon maybe of like, how do gods really work in the One Piece world? And I'm thrilled for it. This just feels like a nice, stepping stone. I understand it's not the most exciting chapter, but it's exciting for the right reasons in the sense that we're just like, okay, we're here and it's looking good. I mean, the whole, like the line with the crown, how imaginative the buildings are. I can't wait to see the anime's interpretation of it because I'm sure they're going to be able to go ham in a way that they couldn't with Dressrosa.
Do you think they try to adapt like a more fantasy anime aesthetic for it?
That's what I'm hoping. I bet they were watching
so
Frieren
cool.
and they were just like,
I was thinking
frantically, taking notes.
Taking notes, trying to ape a bunch of their animators, the whole shtick.
Mushoku Tensei, I mean, still some of the best like openings in that first season. I would love
to see, any of that aesthetic would be really, really cool to capture. I mean, we're kind of capturing it here. Like I said, these are pretty traditional costumes. They're almost too on the nose, but that's kind of what we're trying to invoke here. You mentioned the ear god and all of that. I'm pretty sure it's just the rabbit. I'm pretty sure that it's a big rabbit, and they killed and ate Big Chungus. Because it makes sense that if you put these three idiots together alone in a new environment, they're going to cause all kinds of trouble. But they do mention that they have to go report something to the sun god. And that is curious. Because they say the fire is going to spread to Yggdrasil. We have to report to the sun god. So there's someone
or a shrine.
Claiming, or a shrine, that's true. But I mean, if it's a report about something going on that needs action, I would assume that there is an entity tied to that.
Right. Yeah, because I did have
there
the
is
thought
someone
of like, based on the Norse mythology stuff, that like the ear god could literally just be this giant statue or something like that. And it's just a red herring, that Luffy ate it. But to your point, I mean, I do like the idea of Luffy's like nemesis in this arc being the kind of like pretender sun god. And like a bunch of the giants know that it's not like the real sun god. And Luffy kind of comes in, Lion King's his throne and all that stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk about Luffy. Can I put on my tinfoil hat now? We're almost halfway through this episode now.
I agree with you, Travis. He can't be king of the pirates until he's king of Elbaf. I agree.
I mean, no, I was going to say I need the X-Files music here because this is I have never in the history of this podcast gone as crackpot as I am about to go. So bear with me, okay? There is some weird stuff in this chapter, and I have not decided if it is the obvious answer or, to your point about storytelling and having a bunch of hints and everything, they're intentional. I'm about 50-50 on it. Number one, that is not a Gear 4th attack. That is a Gear 3rd attack.
Yeah.
So, is that a mistake?
That's what we all figured, yeah.
I mean, on its own, probably an error. They'll fix it in post, right? They didn't fix it for the English release. They translated it straight. Additionally, in one panel, Luffy has a sword. When he's sitting on the rabbit and Zoro's looking up on him, there's a sword on his back.
Yeah.
When it cuts to the close-up of him, it is very clearly an axe.
So it is.
And then finally, this man says he's not going to eat the cat. What is up with that? What's up with that? Monkey D. Luffy is not gonna fry this cat up.
Well, maybe they just want to avoid the Asian stereotypes.
I mean, maybe
they're eating the cats.
Maybe Oda caught the debate and was like, "Oh no, I got to change this."
Oh, more like I got to write this in.
Yeah, or we got to write it in, right? My crackpot theory is that this is not Luffy. That this is someone trying to be Luffy and doing a mostly okay job. Some sort of shapeshifter, if you will. Because it is inconsistent between panel to panel to panel. And it's probably just errors. It's probably, this is weekly manga. Sometimes you mess some things up. The whole 9 yards. But we have the hallucination thread. We are in Elbaf. We know that there is a Loki running around. I'm just saying it's a non-zero chance that somebody's been body snatched. And I know that sounds insane. I know it's the most crackpot I've ever gotten because I am nitpicking details here. But they are weird details. Also, where is his hat?
Under the helmet.
Is it? I don't see it. Like I said, play the X-Files music in the background.
It could just be hanging from his back, though.
But it's not, because we see his back when he's using the incorrect Gear 4th move. And maybe it's under the cloak, but he's not even wearing an axe in that shot or a sword. What is going on? The more I look at it, the weirder it gets. That's all.
Could be under the fur part of the cape thing.
It could be. These are all very reasonable and likely true. Like, this is me being the most One Piece theorist I've ever been. Like, conspiracy board.
I'll meet you halfway. Because you make it compelling.
I know I'm wrong, is what I'm saying. I know I'm wrong. But there's just that crumb of it being possibly something we're supposed to be paying attention to. And I can't.
I don't think I can get on board with the body snatching thing. I'm sorry. I love the sweatiness of it, but where I'll meet you halfway.
It's so sweaty.
Where I'll meet you halfway is that I do like the idea of Loki, God of Mischief, kind of messing with everything here. And that being kind of a fun way to, like, maybe establish that, like, this is a different kind of antagonist, if that. And we're going to, like, keep seeing weird inconsistencies and kind of like a Charlie Kaufman film, basically.
Yeah. That would explain the Lego buildings, right? It's a joke. He's playing a prank on them, and they're just dealing with it because they have to.
Or even the tree itself.
Yeah, the tree,
having some
the
kind
changing
of weird
animals.
Effect,
yeah, all of that is totally viable, and it's probably more correct than me. I do want to stress this. I am probably wrong, but I just can't let it go. I just can't let it go quite yet. I look forward to being very wrong.
That's good. We'll have to let that marinate. You raised some interesting chutzpah there. Some interesting chutzpah. And I do want to reiterate, because I know I joked about it before, but the whole thing about, like, it really was just so much like Usopp, like, panicking. Like, why isn't he stronger? Why isn't he just a bit? And it's like, are you 14? Like, it's One Piece. Like, he's fun. It's a gag.
Yeah. The gag is it's a hallucination. Well, they're running.
He doesn't realize how strong he is. Like, have you met this character? It's like a hallucination.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's a hallucination. It can't hit me. So it punches him. Like, it's a joke. It's funny. And then they fall, out of the top of this castle onto the ground. He literally hits the ground. And
literally,
he's okay. Like,
and people are like, you know what it is? It's like people want the Straw Hats to be Blackbeard's crew. They want the 10 Titanic captains because they're just so, like, edgy and in their My Chemical Romance phase right now. And it's like, no, what makes the crew fun is not that they're the strongest hitters and that they're so cool, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, like, that is, like, if you want that, like, Bleach is around the corner, like, you can have that stuff. Want. Yeah, and it's like, I don't want that from One Piece. Like, that's not the spirit of the manga. Come on now.
It's not even how fights worked in Wano, right? Like, you had Nami and Usopp, like, fighting multiple Tobi Roppo, but it wasn't like an arena fight, this person versus this person. It was a much more complex kind of combat scenario. And that does kind of make things messy when you have a lot of those happening all at once. And I imagine as we get closer to the end, we're going to get more of those, and that might end up being annoying for some people. But it's very clear that we're not just doing a bunch of skirmishes anymore. We've kind of gone past that, with maybe the exception of Luffy, because you do kind of just want to see him punch a guy out.
There you go. I agree. Anything else before we get to the comments?
It is kind of fun. We mentioned before that the group that we are following is the group that went to Alabasta.
East Blue Crew.
The East Blue Crew and Chopper. So the Alabasta crew, right?
Chopper's not here yet. I mean, we don't know if he's here at all.
We assume that he's going to be here. But the interesting thing is that this 3-pronged attack that they use on the cat is the same attack structure as when we first got to Alabasta.
Who did they use it on in Alabasta?
It's just some monster. I can't even remember what it was, like what it was called off the top of my head. But it's the same kind of concept. They get attacked by a big monster, and all three of them attack it and knock it out. And they're like, "Oh, that monster didn't stand a chance." And so we started calling them the Monster Trio. And it turns out that was a bad translation anyway. But we stuck. It stuck. So we're getting those callbacks again. It's there. You're definitely on the right track with that vibe when you called that out last time.
There you go. East Blue Crew is ready for you. Okay. Lots of comments since we are recording this a bit late. But here's what we got. Visardo said, there is no way Zoro and Luffy and everyone else is there. She has to be dreaming. I feel like this was dispelled by Usopp. Like, Oda calls this out. He's like, you're going to think this is a dream. But I'm going to literally be like, no. Like, Usopp has that thought. And I think Nami feels pain. Like, she, like, falls, like, all this stuff. Like, yeah, no, I don't buy that at all.
I think there is the possibility that they're hallucinating things around them. Maybe these aren't actually animals, or maybe they are devil fruits and we're not seeing the full picture.
Sure.
But, like, they're physically there.
Yeah, I'll go with you there. Oh, Lopa Merbla said, Loki's trickery is already afoot. Looks like somebody's on Team Travis. I like it. Straw Hat Luffy 7 said, Nami was hilarious this chapter, and the Viking outfits are super dope. I wonder what is and isn't real. So yeah, it looks like a lot of people are having a similar thought of like some stuff might be real, some stuff might not be. It's suspicious. It's suspicious. Literally, Marker D says it seems a bit suspicious that the folks Nami wanted to come save her are the ones that have shown up so far. She mentions Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp, and they all appear. Some hallucination likely on her part. That is interesting. I mean, you could chalk that up to she does remember being with them right before she blacks out. So there could be that. They do say that they remember drinking the drink or whatever, but there might be a plausible reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it's we've been given enough indication that something is supposed to, like, we're supposed to be paying close attention. Like you said it yourself earlier. There's stuff we need to be picking up on. So we were told, hey, you're going to need to pay close attention these next few chapters through that absinthe reference. And it's probably just sending us all down crazy different rabbit holes, but we are paying closer attention, so it's working.
Rabbit holes?
Like the ear god?
Holes? Primal X3 said, an amazing and mysterious start to a new arc. I'm still as confused as the crew about what's going on. You can rule out the entire thing being a hallucination since the giants are commenting on the aftermath of the monster trio. There you go. But parts of it might still be illusions/hallucinations. A lot of people on Twitter keep pointing out details changing, as it being the sign of that, although it could be that Oda's staff was tired and they overlooked it. Then again, Luffy not having his iconic straw hat is suspicious. I've heard some say that it might be Loki in disguise and he's pulling a prank on them. Maybe he has some sort of illusion fruit. And I can see another reason why Carrot could not continue the journey. She'd make an Enel face if she saw Luffy and the others eating a giant rabbit. Or maybe that's another side, it's not Luffy, especially the part about skipping a meal like the feline. Does Luffy ever skip a meal? So yeah, it looks like Travis, person might be from your group chat.
Yeah, like I'm a... Well, they thought I was nuts when I brought this up, so now I feel real vindicated.
You should feel vindicated, validated, all the V's. Yeah. Let's see here. An alligator said, what if Elbaf is a sky island above another island you get to by climbing Yggdrasil, kind of like Jack and the Beanstalk? Yeah, this has been talked about a lot over the years. Very popular theory. I think you and I have mentioned it briefly of like, if that's like the true destination of Elbaf and all that. Only thing is we did just get off of an arc that has that same kind of island structure because Punk Records was literally like a sky island above the island. So it would be a little repetitive, to be fair.
I mean, it was, but I think it's different enough so long as we kind of sell that idea a little bit more that like they're not physically connected by anything other than the tree. Because, if this is going to be kind of the place where we get a little bit more lore, we get a little bit more exploration of like the mystical side of what we still need to figure out about the One Piece, then paralleling Skypiea is probably a good idea.
Well said. Well said. Nozarashi said, I like that the original 5 seems to be alone together right now. It's a dynamic we haven't gotten in quite a long time. Yeah, Travis, I can't remember the last time it was just the core 5. There's always been somebody else there, Chopper especially, or maybe Frankie's right there too. This is a very rare dynamic. I really like the kind of returning to its roots.
Yeah, we spent a long time early on in the series with these 5, so I could see why Oda has just wanted to avoid them being just together. But, we're running out of time. This is a great time to put them together and have that fun again, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice trip down memory lane, especially because when you get a new Straw Hat member, Oda always wants to focus on that new member and their dynamic with the crew, and he doesn't leave them out, and for good reason, right? So, and that compiles over time. All right,
is that you saying that we're eventually going to get that with Bonnie? Is that your sliding that in? What can I
say? I'm easy to read. I'm a fantasy book myself. Snickersnack said, I think the side characters in this chapter are regular people and not giants. That's why they consider a giant rabbit as ear god, but the creatures are some giants' pets. Yeah, and I think that this is where my mind went, but I do kind of struggle to believe that they're the regular people, like how that would work. I don't know. I think that the Occam's razor is that they're giants, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
The idea of that being somebody's pet is very funny, though. Like that rabbit was just outliving its best life, and its owner's waiting for it to come home now, and and he's not.
Yeah, it does feel like a bit of a forest kind of situation we have going on here. All right, Homerman76 said, it's interesting to note that so far, it appears that only the original 5 members of the crew got transported. Not sure if that has any significance. Maybe Loki is a big fan and knows of their exploits from the East Blue. But it's interesting to wonder about Oda's choice on going this route. So yeah, we addressed some of this already. The idea of Loki intentionally separating them out, like if Loki was with the new giant, or not the new giant pirates, but the regular giant pirates, and was like, I'm going to separate them, or maybe he had a plan. Because the giants did just leave Elbaf, and there could be a flashback to Loki having a plan or something to kidnap the sun god. That could be kind of interesting, actually, and especially if you heard about Little Garden, he would this is the Little Garden crew too, isn't it? Because Chopper wasn't on the crew yet.
Yeah, with minus Vivi.
Well,
minus Vivi for now.
Listeners can't see I'm raising my arm up, but the X is missing.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No, the idea of Loki, specifically as an antagonist, is still kind of interesting because it does beg the question, why the giant pirates left to go bring them there if there wasn't a reason to, or if it was to bring them into conflict. There doesn't really seem to be an indication from them that that's the case. So there's a lot of maybe that's definitely possible. We don't have enough info on how their politics work, which is weird given all this time.
Lionblade said, one of the major payoffs from the Egghead arc, which I really enjoyed, was the setup for the Elbaf arc, and it looks like that the previous chapter was indeed the first chapter of the Elbaf arc. All there's left is to officially confirm that Luffy and the present Straw Hat members are at Elbaf, which might happen in 2 weeks, as One Piece will be taking the lead after it returns from its break. By the way, I wouldn't be surprised if Loki was the one that personally got the Sunny with the Straw Hat crew members inside it, and if so, it'll be interesting to find out how he did that. So yeah, some other folks were mentioning that, and this was a comment from a week ago. So we just have a week left before we get the next chapter. So nice. Bionic Ranger said, for the love of God, Oda, please catch us up. This feels like a jump series. It's about to end, suddenly switching gears to get ready to end.
Oh, that's a little cold. It's not like a bunch of jump series just ended recently for
I know, yeah,
in ways that feel out of nowhere.
Indigo Pegasus says, I'm guessing this Lego-themed area of Elbaf is where the humans of the country live. They live in Legoland, Travis. That would be kind of funny, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, that is pretty funny. It just turns out to be kind of like a theme park or something.
Yeah, I'd like that. Like a Renaissance fair or something like that.
Yeah, do a Ren fair. That is actually a pretty good. That would be a pretty good excuse to have regular people on Elbaf.
Cypher J said, I just don't see Luffy wanting to roast Rabbit after Drum Island and Carrot. It also doesn't explain the Lego castle and their clothes. So I guess they're trying to say that this I think they're ascribing to the Luffy Loki theory because Luffy wouldn't do that to Carrot. Counterpoint, yes he would. Of course he would. Although
how many times did he refer to Chopper as let people refer to Chopper as emergency rations for ages?
Yeah, that's right. Man. Hero 2 Anime said, ooh, Nami looks so good with Viking hairstyle, like Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon. I say we got 2 more chapters until the island. Elbaf is officially introduced, like how we saw Egghead. Now, quick question. With Usopp finally or officially stepping on ground at Elbaf, does that make him the first Straw Hat to achieve their big dream? His was to be a brave man of the sea, but he equalized that to journey to the home of the giants. Now that he's here, do you think he achieved, or should he wait until he accomplishes some major trial on the island? I say the latter. Sanji got his big dream. He met the mermaid, right? I consider that a big dream. I know All Blue is the big one, but
yeah. It's a stepping stone because he added Elbaf because he figures if he can get to Elbaf, he'll learn how to be a great warrior.
Exactly.
So that's why everybody's kind of like expecting him to really do some. I think that's why people reacted poorly to the illusion joke because they want Usopp to kind of be the central focus of this arc. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we have really the time to like spend all of that, on this situation. I think what we're going to get is probably something more along the lines of kind of Usopp coming around to the realization that he's kind of always been on that journey. Like the moment, like kind of like the you're the warrior that you need to be. Look at you, you're called a god. We call everything gods around here, right? Like
yeah.
That seems pretty reasonable, but this could be another 100 chapter or story arc too. So maybe we do have the time. I don't know. I feel like, again, coming back to your point, there's a lot of ground we need to cover while we're here. There's just so much.
I agree. Ryan Carlos 96 said, just a typical day for the Straw Hats. Yeah, well put. Oh, and Sneaker Snack had another comment. This reminds me of when the monster trio attacked that giant Alabastan lizard. There you go, Travis.
There it is. It was a lizard. I couldn't remember what it was.
Did a giant make a town out of Legos, kidnap people, dress them, and make them live there? And maybe kept Chopper as a special pet? My guess is their sun god is the owner of the Lego set. There's an interesting symbol.
If they're regular people, they're the pets. Now we've got some ideas. Now we're cooking.
There's an interesting symbol on Sanji's belt buckle. I didn't notice that, but yeah, there is something, kind of interesting that they're just in some kind of like elaborate playtown or whatever, and they're being messed with. That fits the Loki thing too. It also fits the hallucinations and the illusions and all that. So yeah,
didn't we slightly float the idea that like it was just a couple of giant kids like found them and put them in a dollhouse? I mean, that still seems feasible.
Yeah, it's just that they wouldn't be the only ones. They're just like other humans who've washed up and been put here. Like, here, play here, please. You're not slaves, but you're here.
It's like a zoo.
Let's see. A lot of comments kind of saying the same things we've talked about here, and some stuff that are a little weird. Okay, Chiefy00 said, is it just me or does Nami look even more like a princess in this arc? I think we may be closing in on her true origin story. I hope not. Can we at least have one Straw Hat who doesn't have like a hidden legendary like Star Wars Skywalker backstory, please? Thanks. Like if we find out that like Chopper's like dad was like the dad from Bambi, I'm just going to lose it.
Yeah, it's so funny because people, they have their favorite Straw Hats, right? And so you see like Sanji get that whole extra arc where they have to go retrieve him and everything. And so in their minds, Sanji has gotten new character development. And as a result of that, everybody else needs to get that character development too. But it's like trying to play a math equation with storytelling. And it's, what fits one character doesn't necessarily fit another character, right? For Sanji's character, it helped a lot to have Whole Cake Island, but it also helped Nami's character to have Whole Cake Island. She was a driving force during that arc throughout the entire thing. She got Zeus through that arc. You mentioned her power up. So there, you can't really say that like that was just a Sanji arc. That's not really how these work, right? It's just you're trying to play algebra with story structure, and it just doesn't always equal out. It's not like you're gonna get more of a Nami flashback because like we don't really need it. I don't even think she's interested in it. Sanji still had baggage. It was clear he had baggage the whole time. But that's why we didn't need to get into it with Zoro all that much, because I don't think he cares. I think just the symbolism is good enough for him.
Yep, interesting. Very interesting. Chiefy00 also said, I think they blacked out or greened out from the absinthe and started sailing to the next adventure subconsciously while everyone else was asleep. The ship must be mysteriously docked, and Luffy rocketed them to the top. In Drunken Fist style, they started killing Elbaf's stand-in gods, similar to how Nolan killed the Snake God, but with a comedic Straw Hat twist. This is now their hangover phase. LOL, this is probably far off, but I love each direction One Piece theory can go. This is interesting. I didn't think about the snake from Skypiea, because technically the snake was worshipped as a god. That could be like the same sort of thing, right? And that could be a really good connection actually to Skypiea and that whole arc, huh?
Yeah, that's
NL was NL was just like the god or whatever.
Yeah, Skypiea's kind of felt like a microcosm for the series as a whole quite a bit as we've gone on. So, bringing that back around, that's a pretty good catch.
Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people mentioning the Gear 4th was Gear 3 and all that stuff. So very funny. Mm-hmm. Ian22 said, I don't think they're hallucinating at all at this point. I think that's just the explanation for how they all ended up on Elbaf already without remembering what happened. Also, I like the Elbaf outfit so far, significantly more than the Egghead outfits, but I guess that just means I like Viking outfits more than the future outfits in general. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's not that I dislike the Egghead outfits. It just felt a little bit like, I don't know. I know we talked about the whole like sci-fi thing fitting in One Piece and not to worry about that, but like Vikings do kind of fit, like Vikings were pirates, right? So like it does kind of fit the mood of like adventure a little bit better. So yeah.
I mean, it's more the tone we're used to for One Piece as well, if we're being honest here. Like this feels more One Piece-esque than Egghead did for some people. Like we had people complaining about it the whole time.
Yeah. And yeah. WikiWizard said, poor Nami fighting for her life in this chapter. LMAO, she made some faces. Yeah, and so I saw a bunch of people being like, why is Nami like, okay, think about it. She just woke up, she's hungover, and she's being attacked. Of course she's going to be like kind of like freaking out. And people were kind of like, why isn't she like, kicking butt and like all this stuff? And like, again, it's like, have you met these characters?
Because then in a few panels, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji do that. Like again, you're like trying to like next level the story, and it's like, it's like watching a horror movie. You're like, why did you do that? Well, it's because you are an outside observer.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's all the comments. Travis, our first, for sure, like what feels like to me like our first legit chapter in Elbaf. Mm-hmm. It was fun. Hoping the next chapter dispels a lot of these mysteries, or at least more likely it'll give us even more confusion. But that's okay. That's what
almost certainly. Yeah.
It's going to be. We'll be back soon. I think we should be talking about the next chapter next week, right? Because I think it comes out Sunday, so we'll have that geared up for you. No pun intended, but maybe a little bit. But yeah, we'll see y'all on the next one. This is fun as always. Lots of comments, but the vast majority of them were either mentioning the Gear 4th, Gear 5th thing, or how cool the Viking outfits were. There you go.